In this video, we're going to be working on subsetting for section 4.4. Right. So in one of the homework problems, and I'm going to use the same data set that the homework is asking you to subset. Actually, I'm going to use two different ones. I want to show you how to subset using quantitative variables. And I also want to show you how to use the subset feature in order to filter categorical variables. So there is a slight glitch in saving subsets, but Rguroo has given me the workaround on how to get beyond that, which works really great. So I'll include that in this video as well. So in one of your homework problems, they ask you to use the Mount Pleasant real estate data. So remember, all of the Hawkes Learning data sets are preloaded into Rguroo. So we go to Data, Data Import, and Data Set Repository. We find our Hawkes Learning book, which remember, if you don't remember what our book is, since we don't use a physical text, we use an e-text. Next to any week that we have a mini project, I have the picture posted in Blackboard next to the mini project to remind you which book to pick when you go to the external site, stat.hawkslearning.com. And the title of the book is on that picture. So Hawkes Discovering Statistics and Data is the book that we're using. So make sure we click on the right book in the repository, and then every single one of those data sets are here. So for that homework, the Mount Pleasant real estate data, we'll click import. And then once you import it, which I didn't click import because I already have it in my data set, then you can click close. And you come down here to Mount Pleasant real estate data. We can double click the data set so that we can take a look at the whole thing. Remember, when you're looking at data sets, the variables are listed up here as the column headers. Case number is not a variable. It's pre-generated from Rguroo. So you'll see that every time there's a data set. It's essentially just renumbering the rows. I'm still not sure why that does it twice. It seems a little redundant to me, but just know that case number is not a variable. It's just a generic column that Rguroo produces. So one of the homework problems asks you to subset this data set for homes or properties that only have acreage between 0 and 0.5 or 0 and 0.3. Everybody's numbers will be different. And then after you subset, they ask you how many properties are in that subset, and they ask you to calculate an average list price. So we are going to need to create a subset, save the subset as its own data set, and then apply analysis on the list price of that subset. So let's do it. There's two ways to get to the subset feature. We can come right up here to functions and click subset and then select the Mount Pleasant real estate data set. Or you can right click on the data set that you want to use and go to functions and subset. This will automatically put this data set into the subset feature. So now that I'm in the subset window, I want to tell the Rguroo what exactly I am looking for to be in the subset. So because the homework is asking us to subset from, let's say, 0 to 0.5 acres, we're going to go to logical expression. I'm going to come down here to the plus to add an expression. The variable that I'm using to subset is acreage. The operation OP. Now this is in R language, hence Rguroo. So the language, the programming language that is powering this entire statistical software is the language of R. And that's where these notes come in. So equals equals is an equal sign, but it's R language equal sign. And exclamation point equals is not an excited equal sign. It is a not equal to. That's actually fairly common in programming languages to express not equal to. We want less than or equal to and 0.5. So once I have my expression in there, I'm going to click done. And then I'm going to click my eyeball. Now I kept all the columns in here because I want to show you what the error is that's going to happen, because if you see it, then hopefully that will jog your memory to fix that error in the way that I'm going to show you. So this subset has only properties that fit the logical expression we created between 0 and 0.5. Only 100 properties fit on a page. So if you want to answer the question of how many properties are in the range of 0 to 0.5 for acreage, you got to come down here at the bottom of the screen and look at the total number. So there's 203 properties that fit that interval. Now, if I tried to save this as a subset, which we need to do in order to calculate the average list price, when I hit save as, I get this error window. Data set could not be saved. And when I talked to Rguroo, it was because there was just too much going on and it was overwhelming the system. So their suggestion was that we reduce the number of columns we're trying to save. Considering this problem is only asking us to look at acreage and list price, that's the only two columns I really need in the subset. So if I come back up here to basics, I need to come over here to select columns. And I am just going to move over list price and acreage because I don't need anything else. If the homework problem continues, like part C asks you to do some average for square footage, you can always come back to the basics button and add square footage back to your subset. So now my subset is much smaller. I might want to label my subset something clear to me. So maybe subset, Mountain Pleasant, and 0.5 to remind me that this is a subset that has acreage up to 0.5. And then when I click Save As, it will save in my, oh, I already have one labeled that. So I already have one labeled that because I've done this, it's right here. But when you save this, it will actually save this time. Now, in order to do the calculations, just quickly, this isn't another one of my videos, but hey, why not? Seeing it more than once is good. If you come to Analytics and to Analysis and down to Numerical Summaries, select your data set. In this case, it's our subset Mountain Pleasant 0.5. I want to calculate the average list price. So I'm going to move list price as my numerical value variable that I want calculations done on. Come down here to univariate and select that mean and then hit your eyeball. So now I have the average list price when the acreage is subsetted from 0 to 0.5. Now another subset that they ask you to do, still working with quantitative variables, is a between subset. So I wanted to show you that because that's a little bit more complicated. So one of the questions asks to subset between, let's say, 0.6 acreage and 1.2. So I am going to again find my data set of Mountain Pleasant Valley, Mountain Pleasant real estate, right click, functions, subset. Again, notice up here is all the tabs of what I've done so far. So if I need to go back, I can just click the tab. I'm going to hit logical expression. I'm going to add an expression. So the first expression I'm going to write is saying that I want acreage above 0.6. This is going to give me everything above 0.6, but we'll fix that with the next expression. So I'm going to need greater than or equal to and 0.6. Now that's everything. I want only up to 1.2. So now I'm going to add another expression for acreage. And this time I want less than or equal to my upper limit, which is 1.2. Now I have these two, and what I actually need is an and statement. I need it to be greater than 0.6 and less than 1.2. So that's this line down here that we're going to use in order to build that and statement. So I'm going to click this down arrow by the first expression, click and click the down arrow next to the second expression. Click done. I verify that I have my and statement, and I click my eyeball. Again, if you go to save this, you'll get an error because there are too many columns. That will remind you to come back to basics, come over to columns, and only select the columns that you necessarily need for this homework problem. And now it will be able to save. You can see that there are 24 properties in total that fit this range of acreage. One more thing I want to cover is how to subset with categorical variables. So in the beers brewery dataset, beers and breweries, again, can be found using the dataset repository feature. I'm looking at this, and one of the homework questions asks us to filter for 2 states. So let's say it was Pennsylvania and California, and they only want us to take a look at data from Pennsylvania and California. So I'm going to right-click, Functions, Subset. I'm going to go to Logical Expression, going to add a line. I'm going to choose the state variable, and I'm going to choose the equal sign. And then instead of typing in here, because it's not a value, I'm going to use the drop-down menu as it lists all of the observations in that particular variable column. And I'm going to select California. Now I also need Pennsylvania, so we're going to create another expression with the state variable equals, and I'm going to find Pennsylvania. Now I need both, so again, we're going to create an and expression. So the down arrow of the first one, and down arrow of the second one, done, verify, eyeball. Oh, it's an empty subset. That's good. I made up the states. So let's actually use the states that the homework, I think, was Minnesota and something else. So let's try this again. State equal to Minnesota and state equal to, and let's say Connecticut. I don't remember what the other one is in the homework. Hopefully this one turns out to be better. And let's delete the first one, because that one was the one where I did California and Pennsylvania. Well, that is not working out so well. We look at, let's see, we have Connecticut, we have those states. So I'm not sure why it is not subsetting properly. Let's see. Let's try just one and see if that works. Okay, so if I have one state, that seems to be working. You know what? I think I figured out my problem. Instead of an and, I think we need an or. So troubleshooting is a great way to learn. I am not against making mistakes on these videos because it's actually better that you see how I would troubleshoot. If I thought I was supposed to do the logical expression one way and it didn't work out, how can we troubleshoot to try to fix it? So I'm guessing that it's supposed to be an or statement, which makes a lot of sense because and means that it has to be a brewery in Minnesota and Connecticut, which is why it's telling me that the subset is empty. So now that I've realized my mistake, I am going to put state equal to Connecticut, but instead of writing an and statement, I am going to write that it is going to be, I double clicked on E7. I am going to write that it's going to be an or, Minnesota or Connecticut. Makes a whole lot more sense. Ah, there we go. So we need an or statement when we are trying to find a subset with one state or the other. It was an and statement in the previous example with the quantitative between because we needed above and below certain values so that we only had the between interval. But in this case, we needed one state or the other. Hopefully this helps with your 4.4 homework and subsetting.